So hello, everyone. Welcome to this introduction to BioHarvest Sciences. I'm Justin Meeklum, Corporate Communications, and today's presenter is going to be CEO Ilan Sobel. So as Ilan presents, you'll be able to ask questions in the bottom right-hand corner. The last half of the session, we'll get to as many questions as we can. So I'm very excited to be able to introduce the CEO of BioHarvest Sciences, Inc., Ilan Sobel.
Good afternoon, everybody. And it's great to see such a good showing at today's first webinar that we're going to be doing. I realize everybody is very busy, and I really appreciate you taking the time to ride on this very exciting journey that we're on as a company, and to spend a little bit of time today to understand the journey. I have to start with what the lawyers make me start with all the time. The critical forward-looking statement chart. So I'll let everyone have a quick read of this. Okay, great. So today's journey that we're going to go through, I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are, help you understand the unique science that really is the backbone of our company. I'm going to share with you the very clear, defined growth strategy that we've built for the business. And then I'm going to share with you how we're actually executing ruthlessly every single day on that strategy. It's going to be about 30 minutes of presenting with some videos. I promise you it's going to be a fun ride with me. And then we'll take questions and discussion, and I'll try and get to as many of the questions as possible. I can see already quite a few questions are popping up, which is great. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a fun ride. Okay, so who are we? What are we at the core? Well, really, it's pretty simple. We're farmers. But you might be asking yourselves, well, what kind of farmers are you? Well, we're not just regular farmers. We're not, Farmer Joe who's looking after cows, or Farmer Jack who's dealing with fruit and veggies. We're very unique. We are what we like to call new age farmers. And as new age farmers, we're actually bio farmers. So let's understand a little bit about what this means. We farm in this amazing aseptic, clean environment using state-of-the-art, proprietary, advanced bioreactors, versus farming in greenhouses or conventional farming. And what we do every single day is we grow your wellness. And we do this in a way which is extremely unique by the fact that we don't actually grow the plant. So how do we grow this wellness? We actually grow plant cells. We're able to grow plant cells with critical phytochemicals, or put it more simply, very important active ingredients which the human body needs to survive every single day. These are ingredients like antioxidants, polyphenols, cannabinoids, cosmeceuticals, pharmaceuticals. And we do this with our patented biofarming technology. A technology, ladies and gentlemen, that we have spent over $35 million and more than 8 years developing. A technology that is process patented, protected across major geographical jurisdictions across the world. And a technology that has tremendous advantages, as it gives us the ability to take the active ingredient from any plant and convert that active ingredient into a critical dietary supplement for consumers to take every single day, or to add as an important ingredient from a pharmaceutical perspective or food perspective. Because at the end of the day, what we do, we understand that nature is the perfect source. But today, there are many challenges that we deal with as far as the environment that we're operating in. Our environment, we deal with challenges around inefficiency, inconsistency, costly, contamination. And these are challenges that we have to overcome in order to ensure we're leveraging the power of nature in a way that the human body most greatly needs. And what we do is we produce plant cells with these active ingredients that are identical in structure to those that are originally sourced from the parent plant, and they have clinically proven health benefits because everything that we do is anchored in science. And we're able to do this at massive industrial scale at what I call fingerprint consistency, because we're taking every manufacturing run through our bioreactors from the cell bank. It's consistent every single time we produce. It's fingerprint consistency. We're also able to concentrate the levels of the active ingredient in our cells. And we're able to ensure that the structure of our cells has high bioavailability, which means that the body is able to absorb. It's a high level of water solubility. Our human body is able to absorb these ingredients. And as a result, you have very high efficacy depending on the benefit we're providing the body. And we do this because we don't grow the plant. We do this in a way that has no contaminants, no heavy metals, in a way that is non-GMO, has no sugar and no calories, because our process is able to ensure that even sugar and calories is taken out in our final product. The cells need some of these elements to grow, but at the end, it's all consumed by the cell. And there are unparalleled advantages for the environment. One of our bioreactors that will fit in everybody's bathroom is equivalent to 10,000 square meters of farmland. So imagine the environmental benefits. And as I said earlier, our process, we move to growing our reactors, and then we powder, which is utilized in many different formats.
I think we have an internet connection problem.
Okay, hopefully.
That's just 1 second, folks. Well, it looks like Ilan's connection. You'll just reestablish that. And please, lots of good questions so far. Keep those coming, because I get asked questions on the technology and the product plan every day. So it's great to hear them answer straight from Ilan. So as Ilan logs back in, one of the questions that we always get is this a GMO, genetically modified organism situation? His one slide did address that. No, not whatsoever. These are cells in their natural state. And then the non-GMO designation, I know, is a very important thing for a lot of people. This is not part of the GMO conversation whatsoever. These are natural products, but just grown in bioreactors as opposed to traditional agriculture. Another question, are the cells in the bioreactor photosynthesizing to grow? Or are they fed a nutrient mixture? Ilan can speak to the science better than I can, but the beginning of the process, the cells from the actual plant are chosen, and they're grown in a Petri dish. I believe that. Hey, Ilan, I'm just answering
Yeah,
your question.
I'm back. I'm sorry. I apologize, Justin. I had some issues on the connection. So let me continue, and I'll cover the questions as we go towards the end. Okay, so I've actually moved to 3G. the benefit of dealing in an environment where I think everybody in close proximity is using the internet. So I talked about the fact that we use, obviously, leveraging the power of a cell bank to make sure we have that fingerprint consistency, and storing the cells at -80 degrees. We are able to literally ensure we have the cell bank for the future to continue from a manufacturing perspective with the scale that we need and obviously the consistency. So at its core, ladies and gentlemen, we are the plant cell growth company. Our way of biofarming has an application for many business verticals. And that's what's just the power of the biofarming platform that we have, and the ability for us to leverage this technology into so many different critical verticals with such high value. So you can see here on the screen, anywhere from proteins, premium protein, which is a big area of the future, flavors and fragrances, cosmeceuticals. And then tonight, I'm going to talk a lot specifically about how we are really disrupting the nutraceuticals. I like to call it the superfruit nutraceuticals category. And then also I'll talk a little bit about our really powerful work that we're doing in the cannabis space. So let's first talk about the superfruits vertical. And this is actually where we have proof of concept of our technology, and we're selling in the market very, very successfully here in Israel. And this is with our first product called Vinia. Vinia is the first superfruit product that is developed off our platform. It's made of red grape cells, and it contains the entire matrix of polyphenols, and with a concentration of pie seed resveratrol in its natural structure. And this has significant benefits for the body. We combine, what we are able to do is we're actually able to concentrate the resveratrol. So in fact, in our cells, through our technology, we concentrated the resveratrol 100 times compared to what you would find in the actual red grape skin. So the resveratrol, pie seed resveratrol, is 100 times more versus what you find in the grape skin as we find it in our cells. And we were able to also include the entire matrix, including critical polyphenols like quercetin, tannins, catechin, and anthocyanins. And the Vinia is based on the French paradox. And I think many people are familiar with the French paradox. French people, they have a diet full of lipids, butter, lots of fats, lots of meats. But they happen to have one of the best rates of cardiovascular health in the world. And when the scientists looked at this, they realized that this was driven by what they call the moderate consumption of red wine. Moderate consumption of red wine is 2 to 3 glasses of red wine every single day. And when they went deeper to understand what is it in the red wine, it's the critical antioxidant of pie seed resveratrol, plus the combination of the other polyphenols all working together. So we worked our magic with our biofarming technology. We concentrated the resveratrol in our cells. We brought it in all the other polyphenols. And literally in every single capsule of our Vinia, we have as much pie seed resveratrol in each of these little capsules as 1 bottle of red wine. But we have the added benefits of making sure that we have no sugar, 0% alcohol, and no calories. And this allows us, from a power of marketing, when you talk about the French paradox, and people understand that from a consumer perspective, people understand the benefits of drinking red wine. So it's very easy for us to convey this message in our marketing. And from an overall benefits to the body, what we're able to do is we're actually able to increase the enos levels. We're able to increase the nitrate oxide in the body, which acts as a natural vasodilator. And we're also able to reduce the ET1, which is a constrictor inside the blood vessel. And as a result, with Vinia, we're able to increase the elasticity of the artery significantly versus without Vinia. This increased elasticity in the artery ensures that we are able to have more blood flow and more oxygen flowing through the body. And this gives, obviously, as a result of this, there are a number of significant benefits. And we've been able to, as a result of our science, we've done multiple clinical trials. These clinical trials have all been published in peer-reviewed scientific journals, double-blind placebo studies. And as a result of our science and other literature, we are able to make critical structure function claims in markets like the US on pack. And these are the kind of claims that we're actually able to make to communicate the benefits of VINIA to consumers. Supports healthy arteries, supports blood circulation, supports blood pressure within normal range, and fuels antioxidant activity in one's blood vessels and arteries. I'm going to show a very quick video here, which is a marketing video that we're actually using right here in Israel as part of our marketing program. We're in the process now of launching VINIA here in Israel. And this is all part of our learning process as we bring VINIA B2C and B2B to the US in the first quarter. So I'm going to share with you this video, which does a good job in helping you understand the power of VINIA.
In VINIA, the super resveratrol ingredient acts synergetically with other polyphenols in order to ensure maximum bioavailability in the human body, and hence has the most benefits. The resveratrol works in full collaboration with the polyphenols that exist in red grapes, such as catechins, quercetins, tannins, and anthocyanins. The composition and the optimal concentration of these ingredients achieve the maximum efficiency. In a clinical trial conducted, VINIA showed that it improves the elasticity of the blood vessels by an average of 148% when compared to baseline. This has a significant effect on blood vessel dilation. As such, it assists in improving the blood flow and supporting heart health. It also aids in achieving higher vitality and alertness. Additional clinical trials demonstrated that VINIA acts as an antioxidant, while also reducing the blood sugar levels, especially those resulting from age and metabolism. VINIA also reduces the oxidization of the LDL cholesterol. One VINIA capsule contains resveratrol equivalent to an entire bottle of red wine. Now you can enjoy every day all the benefits of VINIA with no sugar, 0 calories, and absolutely no alcohol. VINIA, gift of life.
Your deck's up there? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, great. Okay. So how we're able to do this, as I said, we have a very unique type of resveratrol. Everything we have in VINIA is what we call red grape pie seed resveratrol, which is very different to other resveratrols, which is more isolated resveratrol, which comes from other sources like synthetic sources, from biosynthesis, and from polygonum, which is a Japanese actual weed plant. And as a result of the huge advantage we have in the bioavailability, as I mentioned before, the ability of the body to actually absorb it, our pie seed resveratrol is actually 6 times more water soluble. So as a result, it works perfectly for the body to absorb it. It also works perfectly when you add it into food and beverages. And this is a major advantage for us also on the B2B side, which I'm going to touch on a little bit later. So I'm going to move very quickly through the science, and then I'm going to spend more time talking about the market opportunity and how we're executing against the growth plan. So this is, you can see here, we're just talking about the clinicals around the increase in what we call flow-mediated dilation, which is the 148% increase in elasticity, the reduction in, significant reduction in diastolic blood pressure levels, the ability for us to inhibit the oxidation of the lipids when your LDL cholesterol oxidizes in your arteries. It causes plaque, which is the first sign of heart disease. So VINIA does help reduce the oxidation of that LDL cholesterol. And then we've done a lot of work in the type 2 diabetes area. We have a clinical as well that we've completed, which demonstrate our ability to reduce hemoglobin type 1AC levels, and also demonstrating we improve insulin sensitivity. What's also unique about VINIA is that we have two peaks. We have a peak in bioavailability at basically after 1 hour, and again after 5 hours. And this is really helps ensure that we're able to get the efficacy. All right, now let's talk about the size of the prize. So the science is amazing. The technology and biofarming has huge application. VINIA is the first, proof of concept. Let's talk about how we're going to monetize all of this amazing technology and the VINIA product. So when you look at, it's two real market segments: nutraceutical ingredients and dietary supplements. And what's amazing is we have fantastic headwinds. Population trends are in our favor. The major markets are aging, so this works perfectly in our favor. When it comes to an aging population, every single market is moving in that direction. Obviously, cardiovascular health is the biggest issue that every single country is dealing with. And this is where, at the end of the day, when you look at it and you look at heart health, literally 6 of the top 10 most common chronic conditions, VINIA has the ability to impact in a positive way. So when you look at the size of the prize, the money, this is when we talk about the money, you're dealing with today a market of about 150 billion when you look at overall nutraceutical ingredients market. And when you look at the breakdown, food is the biggest part of it, which is about today 70 billion. 2025 would be 100 billion. Dietary supplements is also large, as well as beverages. These are the 3 areas that we're focusing on. And from a geographic perspective, we're very focused on 6 major markets: US, Canada, UK, Germany, Japan, and Australia. These markets make up literally close to 50% of the revenue opportunity. And for us, there's 2 areas that we're going after. First is B2B. B2B, there's an endless opportunity for us to add VINIA into major food and beverage brands. All food and beverage companies today are dealing with consumers who are crying for more health and wellness credentials in the food that they're consuming, but real, backed by science, authentic credentials. And this is what VINIA brings to the table. So there's a major opportunity that we're now embarking on as a result of our partnership with Batory Foods, who's the #1 food ingredients only distributor in the US. And I'll talk more about them a little bit later. And we're now targeting some of these major companies from a B2B perspective to have VINIA included in their products. And obviously the claims, for example, the claims that I shared with you that we were able to make in the US based on the right dosages, these companies would have the ability to utilize those claims should they choose to do so. The other element about VINIA, which is an important point that helps us in the overall selling proposition to these food and beverage companies, is that VINIA, because it's so high in antioxidants, it has this amazing ability to extend the shelf life of many food and beverage products because it's able to reduce the oxidation of the other ingredients. So there's a big, big advantage.
Sorry, bear with us for 1 minute. Apologies. We were literally on the other side of the globe from each other.
Everybody for your patience. I apologize. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Okay, the other market is the dietary supplements market. It's a $90 billion market globally and growing at a CAGR of 4%. Today, if you look at US households, roughly, when it comes to 55 plus, more than 80% of households are consuming dietary supplements. And so when we look at the opportunities for us, we have 3 very clear routes to market. We have B2B, going after food and beverage companies. This is massive volume for us, decent margins. Then we have B2B2C going after nutraceutical companies, also good margins, and the volume is important. And then there's B2C, where we go directly to consumers with a dietary supplement, where the margins are short of amazing, volumes are lower, but as a result of the mix of these three critical channels, we have a very, very balanced revenue and profit model. And the thinking is, when we go B2B to food and beverage companies, it's what I call the Intel Inside strategy. Cargill, who are in the sweetener game, have done an amazing job with this with Trivia. They went and they launched Trivia in the market, with many brands taking Trivia and including Trivia into their products to improve their health and wellness credentials, reducing the sugar levels. They had strong branding, built consumer awareness, and then they launched their own product on the market, on the actual shelves at supermarkets. And we will follow a similar B2B, B2C strategy with our VINIA Inside strategy. To unlock this opportunity, it was critical for us to enhance our manufacturing capacity. Today, we have a 2-ton facility. We have recently signed about 8 weeks ago with an amazing local Israeli company with fantastic capabilities, GMP standards, which are right there at the top. And we have signed an agreement for a 20-ton facility, which allows us to bring growing of the cells, the drying of the cells, and encapsulation all underneath one roof, and allows us to reduce our cost of goods by up to 70%, which obviously will all flow through to much better gross profit margins, and allows us to be a lot more aggressive in the market from a pricing B2B and B2C perspective. We've also just launched in Israel our new Israeli website, where we're seeing some fantastic consumer demand already. For those of you, in the middle of November, I'll be sharing to shareholders some more detail on the early revenue results and the early critical e-commerce metrics. But we're very, very encouraged by the start that we've had over the past 6 weeks. I'll talk more about this in a couple of weeks' time. And the way we deliver and the way we think, obviously, as a result of my background, coming into the business with 18 years of experience with some of the world's greatest brands, having had the pleasure of working with the Coca-Cola company, we're building a brand that is going to connect with the hearts and minds of consumers and is going to be part of their everyday life. So we don't just send bottles. Right now, when we're selling to our consumers, they get this beautiful pack. We're actually giving away, with 4 months, 8 months, and 12-month subscriptions, a bottle of red wine, because it allows us to communicate that amazing story that one capsule of VINIA has the same amount of seed resveratrol as one entire bottle of red wine. Obviously, no sugar, no calories, and 0 alcohol. And this is how we tell the story. So we're building that relationship, we're educating our consumers, and we're acting very differently to what a typical dietary supplement would act out in the marketplace. And this will continue with every interaction, every moment of truth that we have with consumers. We have an amazing portfolio. It doesn't just stop with VINIA. We've validated our technology already with an olive-based product, which is all about helping to lower cholesterol levels, as well as a pomegranate-based product, which is about addressing many challenges that people deal with as far as inflammation in the body is concerned. So that hopefully gives you an idea of where we are in our Superfruits business and how we have applied the technology to really build a highly, highly differentiated product that has maximum efficacy, all backed off clinical trials and scientifically driven studies. Now I'm going to spend a couple of minutes talking about the cannabis vertical, and then I'll talk a little bit about how we're executing on the plan. So everyone understands cannabis is a huge opportunity. The market is only now just starting to see the growth potential. It's a $100 billion market by 2024. And I think as you see more deregulation, this number will double or triple. What's really unique is that the pharma companies who are looking for the gold class, first class, gold class cannabis are really starting to increase their resources that they're putting into clinical trials. And, if we see the legalization of cannabis as you will across markets and more deregulation, you will see the market double even further and literally go from double to triple and maybe even more as pharma starts to embrace cannabis as part of their solutions for critical ailments that they are not able to deal with right now with current conventional pharmaceutical ingredients. And this just shows you the number of clinical trials as of June 2018 that have been done by pharma companies. And it's increasing every single day as everybody waits the levels of deregulation across the different markets. We have, because of our biofarming technology, some major advantages. I like to call them the 4 C's. It's all about fingerprint consistency, which is so important in the cannabis world. 100% cleanliness. We're in GMP aseptic environments compared to conventional and even leveraging greenhouse, where you're dealing with massive issues around bacteria, massive challenges around pesticides. We're also able to have the right full spectrum solution with the right complex of cannabinoids. And as a result of our technology and the fact that, as I said earlier, one bioreactor in my bathroom is literally 10,000 square meters of land. And when you look at the cost structure to produce what our technology, it's a fraction of the cost of what we see today, greenhouse cannabis farming, with all these benefits of the right complex, the cleanliness, and the consistency. And this is more and more important. The consistency is more important when you look at major companies bringing cannabis, hemp-based CBD into their supply chain. They have to have fingerprint consistency from an overall ingredient perspective. Otherwise, they're not going to touch the product. They have to make sure that it's clean and devoid of many of the heavy metals and bacteria. And this is so important across recreational, where consistency is so important for recreational users when they're looking for the right combination of terpenes and the right levels, because basically that drives the overall sensory experience from the overall aromas. Pharma, if you're dealing with, on the pharmaceutical side, the gold class, you have to have that cleanliness and consistency. And on the medicinal side, if you look at, say, for example, imagine the many veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. 1 week, they have cannabis, which is addressing their challenges. The next week, the cannabis consistency is different, and that person is living life in a different world. So the ability to provide fingerprint consistency and the cleanliness at a fraction of the cost as a result of our biofarming technology is game-changing in this particular vertical as well. We have groundbreaking R&D progress. We've been able to actually demonstrate that we're the first company to have successfully grown cannabis cells containing cannabinoid using small-scale bioreactors. We've demonstrated the ability to grow all the 6 distinct cannabinoids. We've demonstrated that our cannabinoids exact same profile as the original plant. We've only company to be able to demonstrate the trichomes, ability to grow trichomes in liquid media. And now our focus really is on scale up and drying and really commercialization. Similarly, from a route to market, we will go B2B, direct to CPG. We will work with the extraction companies to give them a new source of gold class cannabis. And then obviously pharma is going to be a major, major focus where the margins will be superb, given our ability to provide a different level of quality from an overall ingredient perspective. It's all about executing on this growth strategy as we look at what we're doing in superfruit nutraceuticals and in cannabis. And that's why the manufacturing agreement that we signed was so important, but also having the right partner to bring us to the biggest market in the world, the US of A was so important. And Batori Foods is the perfect partner for us. They are a giant, a Goliath in the overall ingredient space, and are going to bring us the ability to touch, from a B2B perspective, every major food and beverage company and many major nutraceutical companies. The size of the prize is huge in the US. It's $16 billion opportunity. When we look at US hemp-based CBD markets, it's also significant. So together, the nutraceutical side and hemp-based CBD, significant in the US, together with Batori. They have access to 5,000 customers with significant relationships with some of the giants of industry that are all looking to bring more health and wellness credentials, real health and wellness credentials grounded in science, to their consumers as they look to build their brands, recalibrate their brands with consumers' desires, and premiumize their business. As a result of the confidence that investors have in the strategy and the management team that we have and the employees, and I must tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we have, I would say, the most talented scientists out there, based on what they've been able to do in the development of our biofarming technology platform and its application. It's really something that inspires me to come to work every single day, to see how they are motivated and driven through just breakthrough intellectual capacity and sheer will to change the world. And as a result of that confidence from investors in the capabilities of the company, we were able to raise, in a very short period of time, just under $3.8 million in a very challenging macro environment. You'll find very few small cap companies actually putting up financials, estimated projected financial messages. And that's because my style is to be very upfront, direct, and transparent. And I think it's very, very important for you to understand how driven and focused we are on delivering on these metrics. Revenue metrics, the company aims to deliver $2.5 to $3.5 million of revenue next year. We're going to be putting heavy investment behind sales, marketing, distribution. Despite the investment, our Superfruit vertical, which is where we're focusing all our commercial muscle, is anticipated to be cash positive in 2021. We will continue to invest behind our cannabis business. Next year will be a loss, and that loss will be recovered in 2022 as we start to scale the business and bring it to the marketplace. And moving beyond 2021, the entire business is expected to be cash positive. I'm going to leave you, before I wrap up, for 25 minutes with some key messages. We have a winning formula of disruptive R&D with a commercial machine led by me that knows how to monetize our technology and our manufacturing scale and bring this to market. Our platform, our biofarming technology platform that we've invested so much time and resources in, and answers more than ever the challenges coming from industry and consumers as it relates to the unmet needs across multiple verticals. The benefits of cost, consistency, cleanliness, the ability to concentrate ingredients, have the right complex of ingredients, and the environmental impact, positive environmental impact, is game-changing for the industry. We are super focused on executing on the nutraceutical vertical right now. We have very clearly defined strategies. The manufacturing barrier, because we only had 2 tons of capacity, has been lifted. By July next year, we will have at least 20 tons of capacity in a highly efficient, state-of-the-art plant. And obviously with Batori being able to be our arms, our legs, and our muscles, helping to execute in the US, we have a lot of confidence on delivering significant growth, top line, and then building leverage through the P&L to the bottom line. Okay. Thank you for your patience dealing with technology and for holding my hand along this journey. I'm now going to take a breath,
Yeah.
have a drink of water.
Yeah, I'll summarize some questions for you, Ilan. And just for everybody, we can see your questions on this end. We disabled the chat because we knew that Ilan had a lot of ground to cover. But if you have any other specific questions, I'm Justin at bioharvest.com. He's Ilan at bioharvest.com. He's very happy to speak with anybody. Okay, so I'll just summarize a couple. So there's one from AC Ilan, and I'll combine this with the GMO question. AC asks, how would you answer somebody that says, your products are not natural since they are manufactured instead of grown?
Okay, so that's a good question. Justin, I can also see all the questions, so I'll kind of work through and try and, as much as possible answer everybody's questions. Just give me 1 second. I just want to see, yep, there's a lot of questions, which is great. Great to see this level of engagement. So look, the word natural, one has to be very, very careful utilizing the word natural, just given that it's so encompassing. We like to say that and it's a statement of fact, that the way we are able to produce our products, the active ingredients, we're producing them in its natural structure. And for us, this is very, very critical, because at the end of the day, what is the consumer looking for? The consumer is looking for efficacy. And to have efficacy, you have to be in a natural structure. It is very different to other products that are utilizing yeast or biosynthesis. Our process allows us to ensure that our active ingredients are all produced in the actual natural structure, which has a significant impact for the overall efficacy. We are classified and certified by all the critical authorities as non-GMO based on our process. And this is very, very important because we're not doing any engineering, okay? And so, one could argue, we could say we're natural. As I said, and again, just be very transparent, the US environment is fraught with lawsuits of companies that when using the word natural, when you're not literally taking the product and the process of the product being 100% natural along the way. We like to be safer and more conservative in our approach. And we talk about our product having a natural structure. And also we talk about the fact that we are non-GMO, because this is obviously extremely important to consumers, specifically in the food and beverage space, and also now becoming important in the dietary supplement space. Okay, so I want to answer a question around our patents. So we've spent a lot of time on patents, and we have our process patents registered across all the critical geographies that you need to have it registered in to give us the protection that we need. And I think Paul, who asked this question, I think it's also important to understand that when you're talking about this kind of breakthrough technology, the patents are important. They're super important. And when I came into the company, remember guys, and I think some of you may know this because I've said this before, I came into this company as an investor. I invested in BioHarvest in December last year. I did a due diligence in this company that turned the management upside down, and I dug, asking many of the kind of questions I'm seeing here. And I always got a really solid, well thought through, well structured, well researched, professional answers. And this is one area I looked at. And so the patents are very good. But from my experience at companies, at Coke and other companies that I've worked at, it's not just the patents that's important, it's the know-how. And the know-how that we have it's just exemplary, because we have such a huge experience curve with growing cells in liquid media with a very unique proprietary bioreactor that we've developed and optimized over time. And as you can appreciate in the area of biotech, because we are biofarmers, the variables that you have to make sure those cells grow beautifully, producing the optimal amount of the active ingredient with the perfect concentration. There are multiple variables, and without getting into the detail, variables relating to the atmospheric conditions, etc., etc., etc. And we have just a tremendous know-how in that area that it kind of brings me back to the know-how that the Coca-Cola company has around the 7X formula, where, you know, the know-how that's there, it's impossible to copy the Coke formula. No one's been able to do it because there's so much know-how. People know the ingredients, but there's so much know-how in actually how to manufacture. And it's similar with our technology. The know-how that's required to actually manufacture using our technology is just significant. I always say to people, good luck. You can take 100 scientists and a lot of money. I will still sleep very well at night because I know that in addition to the process patterns, the know-how that we have is just significant. Okay. Hopefully, Paul, that really answered your question. I think I've been clear. This is a non-GMO company. Okay. Ted asked a question around how the cells are grown. I can't really get into too much detail, but basically, you know, we have a unique ingredient media that we basically feed the cells in order to get them to grow. And this is obviously, you know, part of our secret recipe, a special formula that we utilize in that context. When will the 2-ton production facility be converted to cannabis? Our thinking is basically as soon as we're up and running in our facility, our 20-ton facility, we will, with producing the quantities that we need to produce in order to supply the US market, we will then start to transition, and our 2-ton facility will be transitioned into cannabis. Talked about patent protection here a lot. Someone's asking me about regulations. Are they approved by FDA, Health Canada, international agencies? So we right now obviously have the ability and fulfill all the requirements of the government regulators in Israel, where we're actively selling, as well as in the USA. This has been our primary focus. And I've talked a lot about the US today. I've talked a lot about our ability to comply with FDA regulations related to the structure function claims that we can make. And we're obviously following all the GMP standards, et cetera, that are required for the US. We are now seeing, as you know, obviously my job to bring the commercial muscle to bring this product to market. We are seeing a significant amount of interest from Europe, from Australia, from South Africa, from Japan, and it's now a major focus for us. In some of these jurisdictions, we've started the process. In other jurisdictions, we're going to start very shortly the process. But we will see over the next 12 months a significant focus of the company in getting ourselves ready to mobilize and operate in 2022 in jurisdictions outside of Israel and the US, including Canada. What's important to say is, look, the size of the prize in the US is so big. And the need for the market for the products that we're finding is so great. And the disruptive differentiation that we have in the market means that I think the US could serve us for 10 years. Just keep going, and we'll grow just in the US. But we are seeing growth in other markets. And as a company, we have to have the bandwidth from all aspects of the business to be able to, obviously, for our shareholders, to be able to embrace and capture the opportunity in those other markets. So 2021 is a maniacal, very strong focus on the US and putting every bit of resource into the US. And then we'll start to see in 2022 us moving into other very important strategic jurisdictions.
Ilan, there's one question. One question before the registration was, when are you going to start marketing Vinia in the US?
Okay, so we will be up and running with the full marketing mix specifically from a, let's talk B2C. Let's separate B2C, B2B. B2B, literally, ladies and gentlemen, starting next week, we've done all the work with Batory. We spent the month of October with Batory, building our sample packs, building our sales presentations, getting all our ducks in a row to go to market. And they're a very professional team. It's really a pleasure to work with Vince Pineri and his team there. And we, starting literally next week, are going to be very, very focused on engaging with what we believe are the critical customers that we have the greatest chance to start impacting as far as Vinia is concerned. So that's B2B. We're up and running, and we're ready to rock and roll and start selling. B2C, obviously, the structure, the structures that you need to put in place, building of a US website, building the whole supply chain for the US, putting in place the right local capabilities that we need. We will be up and running at full force by the end of March Q1 next year. So end of Q1 next year, we will be up and running. Maybe before, but I'm not prepared. I want to basically under promise and over deliver. But really, end of March, everything will be in place, and we will be all guns blazing. Now, what's amazing is that the last 4 weeks of learnings in Israel, and the Israeli market is unique, but there are a lot of good learnings that we're taking from a B2C perspective on what's working. And we can very quickly start to take those learnings and use those learnings to really make sure we hit the road hard in the US with the right kind of strategies to bring the traffic to our site, make sure we have strong conversion rates, and ensure that the average purchase of consumers are at the levels we're starting to see in Israel. Again, I can't talk more publicly about this. I will talk about this more in the month of November. And by all means, I think we have all your emails. You're very welcome to join that call. There'll be more news that we'll be putting up around some of our initial results in Little Israel, but a great test market for us to learn and then, scale up those results to the US. It's going to be a really exciting journey. So B2B now, we're executing with Batory. B2C, we're finalizing the plan, leveraging the learnings from Israel. We're actually in the process of hiring the right resources in the US. You'll hear some announcements about that shortly as well, to make sure that we're building the right capabilities. I'm an executor. That's what I learned to do at the Coca-Cola company. You deliver a growth strategy. I shared with you at a high level the growth strategy, and then it's all about executing the strategy. We executed the strategy already with the manufacturing plan. We executed the strategy with an amazing partnership with a world-class leader with Batory. And now it's all about focusing on executing in the marketplace, which is what we're doing now. B2B now, and B2C, we will start hitting the road in the US with all the benefit of all our learnings from Israel over the last, over the last month and the next 3 months, to ensure that we really start to generate positive results early in the process. Let me see.
I think we're coming to the end of this. Oh, sorry, go.
Yeah, I just want to answer this one question. Somebody's asking me, when do you look into the fast-growing kombucha market? I will tell you that this is a good question because it's an important point to iterate around focus. What's beautiful about our technology is it can apply to any plant or fruit. So anything that's scarce, anything that's critical for human utility value fits into our sphere of visibility. But what's amazing is I've been gifted by the R&D team with the most wonderful pipeline with Vinia. And by the way, with Vinia, today you see one product with Vinia. Tomorrow you could see 5 products with Vinia. Watch that spot. But we also have olive-based product, which is leveraging the power of the Mediterranean diet. And everybody knows how big that is today. Everybody knows oil and the level of calories in oil. Olive oil. Imagine all the benefits of olive oil with no calories, right? It's a person like myself who's always looking to manage cholesterol, manage weight. It's a dream combination. And then we have pomegranate. So we have an amazing pipeline of superfruit nutraceuticals that we're going to be executing on. We then also have cannabis that we're working now on driving the commercialization of, and we will execute on that as well shortly. There is the opportunity in the future to focus on other pillars, and we have a team that are always investigating what those other verticals are that can bring two things. One, significant human utility value. We're not here to only build shareholder value. You build shareholder value through building human utility value. If you're making a difference to people's lives, and in our space, in the area of health and wellness, you're building their human utility value, you're going to grow shareholder value. And that's what we're interested in. And so in that, and our superfruit products deliver on that. What we're doing from a cannabis perspective is going to deliver on that as we produce gold class standard of cannabis. And then as we look in the future, and it could be, 12 months, 18, 24 months, we're always looking at what that next big human utility value factor is. But, we've got to keep our eyes on the prize, right? And that's focusing on what we're doing today, day in and day out, on executing the VINIA plan in 2022, on the Olivia plan on top of that, and then the pomegranate plan on top of that, and cannabis. And so it's all about making sure we're sequencing things the right way and being focused. So honestly, kombucha doesn't sit in the human utility value space. I don't believe it's at the point where it's going to really make a drastic change on the world. Or it's not necessarily the top 5 that we're investigating. So that's just, I wanted you to understand how I think about, because every single week I have companies coming to us saying, this is scarce, this is good, can you do it? And I have to step back and go, human utility value, shareholder value, right? As far as future pipeline is concerned, whilst at the same time making sure we execute the magic that we have already. So I think that's probably a good way to end. And we're actually up to now the end of the hour. Hopefully that's a good way just so you guys understand the DNA of me, obviously, as a CEO. You can see I'm very direct. Maybe it's a combination of my, South African, Australian, with a bit of Israeli roots, but very transparent, very upfront. This is how I dialogue with my shareholders, and obviously yourselves, hopefully being future shareholders of the company. But help you to get inside my head to understand how we think and how we're going to really grow this company to be something very, very special in people's lives as it relates to the products that we provide them, by drastically helping them in addressing the challenges that they're dealing with. And obviously also for investors, by helping them as far as building their own value creation. So I think, Justin, with that, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, no, thank you everybody for joining us. Great job, Ilan. As soon as you close down this presentation, you will be sent a copy of the deck. And please, by all means, any questions, just shoot them straight over to Ilan or myself. Be safe out there.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time. And I appreciate you giving up an hour of your precious time. And I hope I delivered on my promise that you'd enjoy the journey. Good night, everybody. Good afternoon, I should say.
Close us down, Ilan.
Okay.